Happy Monday, happy Monday, happy Monday, everybody. My name is Keiara Gladney, and I am the host of Mask Off, a charity movement podcast. It's Monday. It is the week of Thanksgiving also. And so that tells us that we are approaching a wonderful holiday where we get to really give thanks for all that God has done for us, for what we have and who we have in our lives. And so as I get older, I really appreciate Thanksgiving, and I hope that you do as well. But this Monday, we are going on to another week of diving into relationships and different types of relationships, and some tips and best practices with relationships to ensuring that all of them are fruitful. Before I get more into the episode for today, I would love for you to like this video, share it with somebody that you know, and don't forget to subscribe to the Charity Movement YouTube channel, okay? Thank you so much for all of your support already. Thank you for coming back week after week and engaging with our podcast and our social media and all of the things. We love you, and we just appreciate every person that has either subscribed or shared the videos, or, even engaged with our channel. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, last week, we talked about the importance of mentorship, both professional mentorship, like in the secular world, but also spiritually in the church, the importance of God-led mentorship and how that produces it produces so much progress and maturity for a person who has a fruitful mentor. And so this week we are going to be talking about the ebbs and flows of friendship. So this past weekend, I got the amazing opportunity, my husband and I, to host my friends from college, some of them, not all of them, for Friendsgiving. So this is like our first one in a few years, or it might be the first one that we've ever had. But we used to spend time, especially in college, like a whole bunch of time together, especially with us leading a campus ministry at Wayne State University. When all of us attended, a lot of us have gotten married, had children, had a whole bunch of transition in life, entered into our careers, and we find that there is distance regarding proximity to each other. And so we always like to lock in. We like to check on one another, but locking in is very important, to see each other face to face, to be able to, carry each other's burdens, speak life into one another, laugh with one another, cry with one another, commune with one another. And so we really got to do that this weekend. We got to host it here at my home in Battle Creek. And so all of us came together. It was so fun. It was such an amazing time where we really got to have deep dialogue in person. We could see each other's eyes. We could see each other's reaction. We could comfort each other, especially when we got to some hard conversations and hard moments. It was a beautiful reminder of how powerful friendships are when it's built on the right foundation. And what I have discovered is that even in adulthood, a lot of people struggle to find, cultivate, and continue to build on friendships. I have found that at a certain point, sometimes people's understanding of friendship plateaus because they think it is very difficult to gain and to cultivate fruitful friendships in your adult age. Like, you think you're supposed to have all those friends when you were younger. No. Even as adults, we have the tools to establish a fruitful friendship if we care enough to cultivate it. That's why I keep using the word cultivate. Cultivate comes from the whole process of agriculture. This is where you are investing the research, the time, the effort in ensuring that a fruit produces more fruit. And so it is very important that even in friendship, we understand that fruit produces fruit. Okay? If we want successful friendships, we have to have the right tools to ensure that that friendship grows. And so today we are going to talk about friendship. Today we are going to dive into scripture about friendship and what Jesus says about friendship. And then I'm going to give you some tips that I think are it will lead you to a successful understanding of what friendship is, being able to examine the type of friend that you are, but also in the different seasons that you find yourself in, what is the type of friend that I need? Okay, so what is the definition of friendship? So the general definition of friendship is the mutual trust and support between allied individuals leading to connection. Okay, it is the mutual trust and support between allied individuals leading to connection. And so essentially it is saying it is the establishment of trust and support between people. It doesn't just have to be two, but between people that is mutual, and that mutual trust and support will lead to a deep connection. And so I hear words all the time such as trust, support, dependable. Those things are very important when you talk about friendship. Now, the Bible talks about friendship as a bond characterized by loyalty, mutual affection, and support, even in difficult times. And so some of the characteristics of a good friend, especially in scripture, is honesty, offering wise counsel, willing to make sacrifices, reflecting your actions. So having an active mindset of self-reflection. And so when I think about friendship, I think about how the idea of friendship reflects the self-sacrificing commitment of Jesus. I really think about Jesus every time I think about a friend, because of the scripture that says that he will be closer than a brother, like a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. You want a friend that is honest, that is wise, and that offers wise counsel, that is willing to make sacrifices, that is dependable, that will support you, and that is loyal. That means it's somebody that even in a room full of people that may not be fond of you, they will speak well of you because they know you, and they won't be intimidated just because there is opposition. So that's somebody that's standing 10 toes down for you. And so I have been thinking about different types of friends and where to categorize it. The older you get, the more mature you get, the more you realize, oh man, there are categories of where friends are going to be, right? You have friends that you have at work that you have built and cultivated a relationship with. It can become deep relationships with individuals, but they are not the friends that you've got kind of grown up with. That's a different section of people. And then you got to think about the people that you've gained relationship with in certain hobbies or different groups or different organizations that you have began to connect yourself with, and you build relationships from there. Generally, there are 3 types of friends. Okay, there are mentors, and we talked about that last week. These are friends who are ahead of you, right? This is like the relationship that Paul had with Peter when he was checking Peter for him being a respecter of persons, right? Then the third one are disciples. These are friends behind you. These are people that you're trying to sow into because they're not at a place to be your peer yet. Sometimes people can matriculate into that, but for right now, they're coming in, and it's your job to kind of mentor them. It's your job to really cultivate a relationship with them to where they can become self-sufficient in whatever they need, and they can grow. And then that might be able to allow them to grow into a place where now they're your peer. And so I have friends in all of these areas, all 3 of these areas. I would not dive in and speak confidentially to them to where I am asking for wise counsel. I feel like I can be fully vulnerable with those individuals or with that individual until there's more maturity and there's more connection that is established with that person. And so some more definitions of a good friend is someone who challenges and corrects you with truth. Okay, friends who encourage you and build you up in faith. The first scripture that came to mind as I was kind of prepping for the episode today was that iron sharpeneth iron, right? So a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. It is so important that as you get older, you start to evaluate, what do I need? What are the things that I am requiring in a friendship? What types of things are non-negotiables that I can't move on when I talk about needing a friend. And so when I think about this season of my life, and I actually had a friend that asked me during Friendsgiving, like, what do you need now from us? We see the season that you're in. We hear about the different things that you're experiencing with your parents and with different things that are coming up in your life. What do you need from us? And that was such a timely question, but it was such a thought-provoking question, because a lot of times we are in seasons where we are not even asking, what do I need from the people around me? I'm telling God, like, God, this is what I need from you. I might even tell my spouse, babe, this is what I need from you. But a lot of times we don't even allow our friends into those spaces in certain seasons of our lives. And I can even think maybe that's how I have been, is where I don't invite them into the trouble seasons, because it is just such a hard and vulnerable time for me. So that in my mind, I am careful not to try to overwhelm the people around me with the type of things that I am experiencing at that time. It is not the best thing all the time, because at some point you are deciding the level in which someone can come in to affect your life and how they can, implement things that can help you. And when you don't do that, you're kind of saying, yeah, I know you're a good friend, but this is the limit in which you're allowed to help me. And that just, it's not a fruitful relationship. It doesn't build the level of trust that you want to have with your friends. And so when my friend asked me, what do I need from this season of our friendship? And I was just like, I really need for you all to create an environment, if possible, that will welcome me to not know what I need and be safe. Because I honestly don't know what I need all the time until I'm in that feeling. I'm in that moment where I'm like, I could really use this, or I could really use somebody to say this to me, or somebody to talk to me about this. And it makes me really evaluate, as these individuals that are part of my village, they are part of my community as I navigate through this life that God has given me, by the way. These are individuals that God has given me to walk with me, to navigate through this life emotionally. What can I expect? What can I accept from this person? Physically, what can I accept from this person? Practically, what can I accept from this person? I can remember times in my life going through hard transitions it can be with my children. It could be with a job, like getting a new job and having to go through the transition of really walking into that next step. And my friend would send me things like Boss Lady on a notebook and Boss Lady on a really cute acrylic mug with like a spoon to go with it. It was such a beautiful gesture of somebody saying, you are right where you're supposed to be. And you might not have said it out loud that this is something that you're battling with, but I can tell, and I want you to know and reassure you that you're exactly where God wants you to be. And that really gave me so much more confidence, because it tells me that my friends love me enough to look at me. They love me enough to watch me. They love me enough to check up on me, even when they don't text me, in real time. My friends are saying to me, I love you enough to watch you, to observe you, to examine you, to research you, and to allow God to speak to me about you so that I can cultivate with you a beautiful connection. And I love that I have that with friends, and I do that for my friends, even in our adulthood and navigating now our 30s. And so I often think about how I needed different things throughout different seasons of my life. When I was in college, I needed way different things than when I was married, and then going into motherhood, and then going into ministry. I needed different things in those seasons, and I'm happy to announce that you can go through all of those seasons and keep friends. You can go through all of those seasons and retain a great group of friends that can navigate those transitions with you, because they want to be on the journey with you. And I find that sometimes we will prolong the ending of friendships because we don't want to have the hard conversations. We don't want to go through the big feelings. And we don't want to admit that sometimes the chapter is closed. Sometimes that person can no longer keep going through these transitions with you. They might be tired. They may not have it in them anymore. And sometimes it's not anything bad. Sometimes friendships just end. You're going on two different roads. I just talked about how the definition of friendship is the mutual trust and support between allied individuals leading to connection. There's a whole lot of partnership, collaboration, like relationship type words in that one definition. We've had mutual, allied, and connection, which means that you can't just fight for friendships by yourself. You can't just be holding on to friendships by yourself. You cannot be like the people on the Titanic, knowing that trouble is near, and all you're doing is playing the violin while the ship is going down. You gotta do something. You gotta call for a boat. You gotta do something. What you can't do is nothing. It's just unacceptable. And I appreciate all of my friends for being spirit-led, being led by the Spirit of God to ask the Lord, like, what is going on? What does she need? What is she not saying that she needs? How can I support her? How can I help her? How can I serve her throughout different seasons of my life? And I've realized that my friends are the cream of the crop. They will pray with you. They will talk to you. They will defend you. They will support you, but they will challenge you. They will correct you. And I prayed to the Lord in college that God would give me friends that would not just appreciate the good things about me, that would not just love the great qualities that I offer, but that they would see the broken places, the places that are still emerging, the places that are still maturing, the places that are stubborn, like all of those different areas, and say, you know what? She is still worth investing in. She's still worth us holding her up. If there's an area that I'm not doing well in, they're the ones that are like, hey, I see this. What's up with that? Like, I had a friend during the weekend for Friendsgiving. They were like, I was telling them a story about my work and some of the things that I'm working on and some of the meetings that I've had. And my friend was like, oh, there's something into that. Like, let's talk about that. And we went down a rabbit hole into trauma response and how that shows up in the way that we operate on a day-to-day basis through some of the conversations we have, through some of our nonverbal cues, like all of these things. And it really hit me like, my friend is observing me. She is watching me. She's listening to me, not just listening like, oh yeah, I'm just paying attention to her. She's invested in understanding what I'm saying, why I'm saying it, how I'm saying it. It was just so deep in that moment, and I appreciated it because people don't have to love you that way. People don't have to love you enough to listen so instinctly that you're like, there has to be something there because her response is this. Her words said this. Like, it was just so powerful in that moment to understand that even for friends that I've had for over a decade, they love me enough to really examine me and look at me and all these things. And it brings up a scripture that I also wrote down from Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 17 that says, a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Friends are not just there for the easy seasons, like the stuff that's fun. You're going out with your friend, you're having dinner with your friend, going to the spa with your friend. You are, doing cute things with your friend, cute projects with your friend, cute photo shoots with your friend. I am talking about friendships that have gone through the trenches, right? There are hard, combustible arguments with your friends, disagreements with your friends, seasons where you don't get to talk a lot, seasons that you talk every day, seasons where somebody, one of your friends' parents is sick, seasons where somebody is having trouble in their marriage, seasons where somebody is struggling with their children, seasons where somebody is struggling with their mental health, like seasons where people are struggling with their physical health. Like, all of these things happen in friendship. And the problem is nobody sits down and had that conversation like I just talked about, which is, what do you need from me? Let me not assume that you need what I gave you 5 years ago or a month ago. You might need something totally different now. There are seasons where I want to talk. Like, I want to go through the whole situation that happened and why it happened so I can vent, and then I can get the wise counsel and I can go on about my day and I feel so much better. There are other seasons where I don't want to talk about it at all. I want to talk about something different. Tell me something silly. Tell me something your kids did. Like, tell me something that can take that load off of my brain for at least a moment. But you have to articulate what you need. And so it's not really one side of the friendship working. It's both of the people working together in order to keep that communication and that relationship afloat. And some of us don't do that. We have an unrealistic expectation that our friends are just supposed to know us even after we change. That's not always normal. Like, the person that I was at 18 is totally different than the person I was at 21. And that is totally different from the person that I was at 25. That is totally different than the person I am now at 31. Everything that we endure, everything that we go through, it produces another side of us, another piece of us. It unravels another area in which God already knew was going to be cultivating. And so it is important that we are able to speak to our friends, that we are able to love our friends at all times, that we are able to love the easy parts of our friends and the more difficult parts about our friends, the stubborn parts, the parts where they don't listen to us and they want to do their own thing. And so we have to be mindful of how important it is to have a good friend, because Ecclesiastes chapter 4 says that two are better than one. And if one falls, the other has to lift up his fellow. And so that means that your friend has to be dependable. That means that that person has to be someone that you can confide in. You know, without a shadow of a doubt, they will hold you up. One of my friends, who I see semi-regularly at things, but I don't get to have as much time, we get to do things together all the time. But she is a friend that does not have to say much, but the actions prove the type of person that she is. She will show up, she will support, she will invest in you. And my friend just texted me. She was like, "Do you need me? What's up?" And I just shared a story on Facebook, but it wasn't a story that I meant to share. It was a mistake. I just glanced and shared it before I even finished producing the content. And my friend was like, "What's up? What's going on? Are you okay?" And I was like, "This is what's happening. This is how I'm dealing with it. That's all." And she was like, "Well, I need to come up there and see you. Like, I need to come see you. It can be after the holiday, but I need to come see you. I need to check on you. I need to see you face to face." And what a friend. Like, what a person to say, in the busyness of my life, I'm thinking about you, and not just that. I know I need to make a different type of effort to see you, to look at you. She could have very well said, "Let's Facebook Messenger each other, or let's FaceTime each other so I can see your face and see how you're doing." She didn't say that. She was like, "I need to do something more than that. That's not enough." And all of us should strive to be a friend that will show up. Yeah, you may not be able to show up all the time in person, but you can show up with your words. You can show up with your acts of service. You can show up in whatever way that that person needs your love to be seen. And that's a powerful thing to have with your friend. We look at Jesus as our example. John 15:13 says, "Greater love hath no man than this, than a man laid down his life for his friend." We have to embrace the idea that friendship sometimes has sacrifice. It can be a sacrifice of your time. It can be a sacrifice of your money. It can be a sacrifice of your will. And sometimes it can be a sacrifice of your comfortability. All of those things contribute to what it means to be a good friend. Friendship is always not convenient. It means that you're supposed to come out of your comfortability, out of your regular element to say, "This is where my friend needs me, so that's where I'm going to be. And I'm going to embrace this new season." There are seasons of my life with my friends where we talk all the time, seasons where we don't talk all the time, seasons where my friends are busy, seasons where I'm busy. But it's seasons where we understand, okay, I need to check back in, because something is changing, something is happening, and I need to be in it. I need to be there. And Proverbs 18:24 says, "A man that hath friends must show himself friendly." So you can't be one-sided with how you want a friend. You can't be mean to people. And I find, like, sometimes people always talk about, "Well, I can't find friends." Well, you got to ask yourself, are you a good friend? Period. Do you give the people around you that you say are your friends the things that they need? Period. I talk to people all the time on social media that reach out to me and ask me about cultivating friendships in their adulthood. And I say, what are the things that you need right now? As a friend, like, what do you need? I don't need nobody to talk to me every day. I don't. I just don't have time for it. There are text message. Now, granted, I've answered all my text messages current, okay? I'm doing better. But there are times of my life and the demand of all the things that I have going on that I don't even get to check or answer all the text messages I receive. So I don't need somebody to talk to me every day. I do want someone that I am able to connect to, somebody I am able to go to for wise counsel, somebody who can come to me for wise counsel, someone who I can trust and have confidentiality with, somebody that can do the same toward me. I love to travel with my friends. I love to do things with my friends. I have friends that have children, so we do things together with our children. I have friends that are not married, so that means I do things individually with that friend. And we check in regularly and all these things, but you have to know what you need. There are some friends I already know. That's my mani petty friend, or this is my talking about my dad friend. Like, this is my friend that can understand what I'm going through friend. I have friends that are my pastor's wives friends, or my minister's wives friends who have been in these positions, older and younger than I am, or the same age as me, that can help me navigate through this process. And it's people that I deem very close to me. So they're just not a mere acquaintance, but they're also not a mentor. And so we have to be sure where that person is in our lives, how we met each other, what type of connection was established to start that friendship, and understand if it starts to change. So the last scripture I probably want to talk about is John 15:12. And it says, "This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you." So Jesus has an expectation for us that our job, our duty for each other is to love. Love my brother, love my sister. And not only to love them, to serve them. Because these are the things that Jesus Christ has done for us, right? And so when I think about examples of friendship and the ebbs and flows of friendship, my first thought process was Jesus and his disciples, right? No greater love than this, than a man that will lay his life down for his friends. There's no friend greater than Jesus, who, knowing while we were yet sinners, he died for us. Knowing when we would fail, knowing Peter would deny him 3 times, knowing Judas would betray him. All of these things were known for Jesus Christ, and he still were their friends. He still loved them. And so we have to get to a place where we learn to love like Jesus loves, and we learn to fight for our friends the way that Jesus does. There was a time in my life that there were hard seasons with friendships, and it took work to sustain the friendships that we have now. Like, the friendships that I have that are 10, 15 years in are friendships that it took work and diligence and forgiveness and humility to sustain these relationships, because we were going through so many changes. To have my oldest friendship that I still have be with someone that I met in high school. So we went through high school together and college together and adulthood together, and then going through all these different areas together. And I am thankful that we loved each other and that we loved God enough to fight for our relationship. And that's the type of friendships that you want, that have longevity. It is the ones that are willing to fight in the trenches with you, because there's a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that the friendship is worth the investment. And you have to decide that the friendship is worth your investment. And Jesus decided that his friendship with his friends were worth the investment of death. His love and kindness toward us was worth the investment. And so we have to decide, even in friendship, is it worth the investment to do this, to have this hard conversation, to deal with this conflict, to try to resolve it? Is it worth it? And your answer should be yes. If it's not yes, then you need to go back to the drawing board and see why, and ask God, is this a friend that you're taking in the next season of your life? The next one is David and Jonathan. Jonathan is Saul's son, the first official king of Israel. And when you think about David, how he came through the ranks, how he beat Goliath, how he started being, just an amazing warrior, favored and anointed by God, and how Saul became jealous and hateful toward David to the point where he tried to kill him. And Jonathan, being the best friend, stood up for his friend. He defended his friend even from his father. He was willing to go against his father to love his friend. And sometimes friendship is not comfortable. It's not always convenient. It's not always butterflies and just all the sweet things. It is sometimes hard. It is sometimes conflict. It is combative. It is us having hard dialogue. It's us not talking for a while. It's us going through different transitions. It is expecting your friends to go through things and not judging them or cutting them down as if they can never recover. It is being a friend who will stand with your other friends through opposition, even when they put themselves in the opposition. That is called the maturity of friendship. When you allow your friend to make the decisions that they want to make because they're grown, but you still hold them up in the event that they need help. That is what we are supposed to do. That is exactly what we're supposed to do. And if you call yourself a friend and you're not doing that, I need you to go to the Lord and ask Him for help. Because we have to be in a place where we are investing in the people that we love. And so, as I continue to talk about friendship, I often think about how over time we establish boundaries. Boundaries are helpful guardrails around either our emotions, our behaviors, our values, all of these things, in order for us to articulate those boundaries so people honor those boundaries and don't go beyond those boundaries. Growing up as an adult with my friends that I started with, some in high school, we've established boundaries over time. So that there may be areas that our friends are aware of things that we like, things that we don't like, things that we appreciate, things we don't appreciate, and we will not go beyond that. And it has helped me to establish these boundaries and to embrace them even for other people. There are things that I don't talk about. There are areas that if my friend is uncomfortable, oh, we're over it, we're done. And it's not anything personal. I don't get emotional about it. I don't get offended about it because I don't get to decide what a person's boundary is. Just like I don't decide what areas of trauma that a person has overcome or has endured. I don't get to tell them how to respond to that. I don't tell them how to interpret that. I support them in the manner that they need to be supported. And so we have to really think about our friends as people who we get the honor of building relationship with. Okay? These are not just fly-by-night people. These are God's people. Like, these are people that God created. And out of all the billions of people in the world, God allowed for you to meet this person and get a mutual trust and respect for this person. Building in more compassion and love toward this person to where you want that time with that person. You want to be around this person because you grow to love this person. When you have all of these things, you need to know how to love your friend in different seasons, loving your friends when boundaries are established, and not being upset with your friends when those boundaries are established. And so I think about different seasons of my life with different friends that I have, and how in some seasons it was hard because there's times in our friendships where our friends get to make their own decisions, right? All the time. It does not necessarily mean that we agree with those said decisions, but that person is an adult and they have the right and the liberty to decide their own path. And there were seasons of my life with different friends that was very difficult because you saw the decision, you saw how they were walking, and you knew it was not going to be positive. You knew it was not going to be a good outcome, but they did it anyway. And then on the flip side, you have to learn how to navigate the space in that now friendship where they are living and doing things that are totally outside of what their character and value is supposed to be, but they're doing it anyway. And so God had to teach me how to still navigate the friendship even when I don't agree. Period. It's easy to love your friend and walk with your friend when you both agree and you both are making decisions that make sense. But what if you have a friend that their decision just does not make sense? Like they are just wilding out. What do? especially if God is still approving of you being friends with this person. You have to learn to support and love with the boundaries that you need. You have to reel it back in over here. Once we get over there, I'm not going. And that will teach a person this is my limit. And if I go past here, you're going to be upset with me. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into a conversation we don't need to get into. That's not going to be fruitful because you've taken me past a level that I am okay to go to. We have to love our friends enough not to put them in situations where they have to decide if this now is worth it. Not because they don't love us, not because they don't honor us, not because they don't respect us, not because they don't want the friendship. But we have to be responsible for the decisions that we make. And our friends do not have to follow us to foolishness. And so we have to be wise with even how we show up and our actions and how that affects other people, how that affects our friends that believe in us, that love us, that trust us, that depend on us. We have to be in the right space to produce really great relationships and really great friendships. Space. A lot of times we do not make space for change. We do not make space for transition. A caterpillar goes into a cocoon and produces all of these things to become a butterfly. You and I go through different metamorphoses. We go through different processes in which we seclude ourselves, isolate ourselves in order for us to be examined. A lot of times we do not make space for our friends to transition because sometimes transition is ugly. All transitions are not concealed. Okay? I have friends that their transition, whether it was the ending of a marriage, they became a widow, it could be somebody was sick, it could be, somebody lost their job, somebody lost their house, somebody went to jail. Like, all of these things are different areas that you would love if nobody else knew. But what happens when you're in a friendship with somebody and they're actively going through turmoil? They're going through something that is changing everything of who they are. You have to give them space to go through that process. And while you're giving them space to go through the process, you're also saying, how can I show up authentically, lovingly, consistently to my friend? And that is so important. But you have to show up even when you're making space for that person to be who they are in the season that they are in. You have to be there some type of way. Be present mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. You have to be present for that person because they're going through a lot of different things. And during that time, we also need to create accountability. I love that I am accountable to my friends. Like, if I said that I was going to do something, hey girl, did you do such and such and such? I know that was a goal for you. It's this date. You passed it. Did you do it? And if I didn't, my answer is no. If it is, yes, girl, I did it. Let me show you. It's so important that we have mature friendships where there's an expectation of greatness. Like, we should expect great from our friends. We should expect great things and embrace great things for our friends. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where your friend is not expecting greatness from you, your friend is not encouraging you to do better, your friend is not pushing you to live the life that God has always told you and showed you that you needed to accomplish or do, that's not a true friend, guys. You need a friend that believes in you, a friend that will fight for you, a friend that will, grow with you, a friend that will say your people will be my people and your God will be my God. I think about Ruth and Naomi because you need somebody that's going to be like, you know what? I know you going to lead me on the right path. I'm going to follow you. Wherever you want me to go, I'm going to go. I'll strip what I know away because I know you have what's right. And there's so many times that I've had to look from a different perspective as I was talking to my friends, say, you know what? You're right. I stripped everything I just said. I'm going to go with what you said. Even with my friend during Friendsgiving, when she realized the way that I was responding was like a trauma response, she was like, oh, let's talk about that. And we talked about it at the table. And I was like, whereas I could have been uncomfortable, I could have been upset that we were like kind of veering off into specific conversation, I embraced it because I know that my friend meant well. I know that she was really trying to get to the root of the issue and help me understand it and see it for what it was. And I appreciate that because she didn't have to, but she wanted to because she loved me enough to say something. And I find that sometimes in friendship, I hear adults always talking about walking on eggshells because you don't want to tell your friend the truth. That is such a damaging thing to know, that my friend loves me, but they don't love me enough to tell me what I need so I can do better. Now, granted, that person might be upset. I'm going to be honest. Who cares? I care. But not enough to let you die where you are. Naturally, spiritually. I love you enough to say, hey, what you said really had signs of this in it. Can we talk about this so that I can understand it in a different perspective? Because maybe that's not what you meant. We have to be willing to have hard conversations with our friends. If you say that you love your friend, there are hard conversations that will be had. And you have to go in it with the right intention, the right mindset, the right focus. And the focus is the beauty and the sustaining factor of your friendship. I want to keep my friendship with this person because I love that person. Okay, how do I go into this conversation where I am continuing to value the relationship that we have while addressing the issue that we also have, in order for us to get to a resolution that we both want? And so there are so many things about friendships. And Jesus is such an amazing example, because Jesus helped to build up the people and then gave them the tools that they need, the avenues that they need to navigate and be powerful in those areas. We have to know the type of friendship that we are in. We have to know the value in those friendships, why they are important, and how it benefits us to have those types of friendships. It is not time for us to want to just use people. It's not the time for us to be good friends to other people and they may not be good friends to us. The beautiful part of that definition of friendship is that it is mutual. Both people working together for the same goal. It is a mutual trust. It is a mutual connection. And that is how you grow. I've had so many transitions with my friends, but I am grateful. Even in the age that I am now, I still am cultivating new relationships that are so beautiful, new friendships that are awesome because they see me for who I am. I can only show up as myself. I never show up as a representative of myself. If I'm clumsy, I'm just going to be clumsy. If I'm a joke, I'm going to joke. If I'm serious that day, I'm serious. They know me for who I am. They appreciate me for who I am. Eventually, they love me for who I am, and I them. So this last point is, in order for you to gain true friendship, you have to be your true self. If that means that you are nerdy, if that means that you are, you like to be isolated, if that means that you're introverted, extroverted, ambiverted, whatever your verdict is, be it. But be who you are. Be how God made you to be. And if you are unsure, be honest about that being an emerging area for you. Because the worst thing you need is for somebody to grow and cultivate a relationship with you, and that is only your representative. You are only that person until the mask come off, and then they're going to be like, you weren't even like this. You're a totally different person. No, that's who they always were. They just had it concealed. We want to be exactly who God calls us to be. We want to produce fruitful, growing, mature relationships with people and friendships with them. And that starts with understanding what a friend is. That starts with understanding what God says about friends. Tips and best practices for having friends, I would say some of it is dealing with your you issues. Dealing with your you issues. Some issues are you issues. It has nothing to do with anyone else. If there's insecurities, if there are, past traumas, past experiences that have left you wounded, past friendships that have kind of left you damaged in some areas, those are areas that are way beyond another person's control outside of a therapist and God. Like, we should not be putting unrealistic expectations on people that have no connection to that thing. It's not anyone's fault. But you got to take care of that before it messes up the relationships around you. That's just one tip. Another tip is you need to ask your friends how you can be better as a friend. How can I show up more for you? How can I be the type of friend that you need while you're asking me the type of friend that I need? Number 3, effort is essential. You are not going to put forth effort at cultivating a successful relationship with somebody. Get up out the way. You don't want a friend. You want somebody you can just lean on when you need help, but nobody else can lean on you. That's unfair. That's unrealistic, and we don't like it. As adults, if you're not dependable, I don't need to be your friend. Don't waste my time and don't waste anybody else's time. Number 4, know what you're good at. I got friends that they are just amazing at always having the right words. Some of my friends, no, absolutely not. But they know it. Like, they already know. And it's a beautiful thing to know what you need. It's a beautiful thing. Also, another tip, stop putting unrealistic expectations on people that can never reach that. I don't put unrealistic expectations on any of my friends. Because in some seasons, it's just not feasible. Me seeing my friend once a month, once every 2 weeks, it's not feasible in this time of my life. It's just not. And giving off that expectation that it'll happen, it's just not right. Because you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up to be shown as being flaky and non-dependable. And I want to be dependable for my friends. I don't want to be flaky. I want to be consistent. And that takes effort. But that takes knowing the season that you're in and not giving unrealistic expectations about that season. And praying that that person receives that in the most positive and loving light. Not saying, oh, that person just doesn't want to hang with me. It has nothing to do with that at all. It has everything to do with a person being in a place where they just don't have the capacity. Some of us just don't have the capacity. And we have to learn to articulate that. And then from the other side, we have to learn how to take it in and not take it personal. Everything's not personal. Everything's not a dig. Everything's not trash talking. Some things are just where we are. And we have to love that about each other. We cannot make our friends into what we want them to be. We should be praying for them and helping to cultivate the person that God created them to be. Not what makes us comfortable, but what God sees in them and wants for them and is pulling out of them for His glory. Because if any of us are followers of Christ, the goal is for God to be satisfied with our lives. And in that, there are changes that automatically need to take place for us to get to the better part of ourselves. And we as friends are on that journey, and we have to walk in it with grace and consistency and trust and confidentiality and forgiveness and all of those things. We have to take on that fruit, the fruit of the Spirit, and we got to walk in it every single day because friendships are worth it. God loves community. If Jesus Christ was not the greatest example of building community, I don't know what is. We need friends. We need community. We need a village. And if you don't have one, I pray that you ask God for one. And if you need to know how to build friendships and start friendships and put yourself out there, let me know. I would love it. You can email me, charitymovement1@gmail.com. CHARITEA movement1@gmail.com. I will be sure to answer and give you some tips. Okay? But that's what we're talking about today. Talking about friendship. Last week we talked about mentorship. But this week talked about friendship, especially after spending time with my friends and really loving and appreciating the time that we had. Their sacrifice to drive up here. It just is amazing. It's an amazing thing to have friends in your older years that have walked with you through different seasons. It gives you a deeper appreciation of people who stay. People who come out the fire with you. People who are living life beside you. People who are fighting for you. People who are praying for your strength. People that you are praying for. It's just a beautiful give and take of love, respect, confidentiality, transparency, like all of those things. And I'm just honored to have friends. I'm honored to have good friends. I hope that you have good friends. I hope that you enjoyed this episode today. If you did, I hope you share with somebody that you know, that you like this video, and that you make a comment about what is a huge characteristic that you love in friendship. Okay? How do you know that you have a good friendship? Answer those questions if you like. I love you. I hope you have an amazing evening as you wrap up your day. If you're wrapping it up, I don't know what you're doing. But if you've seen this, I hope you're having an amazing day. I hope that God is continuing to bless you and that you are living the life that God has called for you to live with the friends that you need in your life to live as well. Remember, I love you, and the only one stopping you is you. See you soon.